Hey y'all, so the other day you should have learned how to divide fractions. If you do not remember learning that, I didn't make a video, but I did post a video on Google Classroom for dividing fractions. So make sure to watch that and to do the guided practice and the independent practice. So what we're gonna do today is we are actually going to be dividing fractions still, but this time with word problems. So this is on Google Classroom. You can either print it off or do the work on a clean sheet of paper, or whatever helps you best. You may be able to type in it. It just depends. If not, just get out a clean sheet of paper and a pencil or print this off. All right, let's get started. So number one says, Mr. Lang is building a playhouse for his children. He has a piece of wood that is 3/4. I'm gonna highlight that because I know that's probably a piece of information I'm gonna be using. 3/4 of a yard long. The directions instruct Mr. Lang to cut the wood into pieces 1/5 of a yard long. How many pieces of wood will Mr. Lang have after making the necessary cuts? So this word problem, again, we're obviously dividing fractions, but we have two fractions. We don't know which one we're dividing, which one we're dividing by. So we don't know which one's our dividend and which one's our divisor. So if we read the middle two sentences right here, we can kind of figure out which number we're dividing and which number we are dividing by. So it says he has a piece of wood that is 3/4 of a yard long. The directions instruct Mr. Lang to cut the wood into pieces 1/5 of a yard long. So they tell us how long the piece of wood is. That is going to be our dividend. That's the number we're going to be dividing because that's the total amount of the wood. So our problem is going to first be 3/4 divided by, and we're going to be dividing by 1/5 because that's how long we want to cut the pieces in. So we're going to divide by 1/5. Now remember, whenever we are dividing fractions, we're technically multiplying by the reciprocal. So when we do that, we keep 3/4 the same. This number stays the same. We're going to change the division to multiplication, and then we're going to find the reciprocal of 1/5. So remember, the reciprocal is just us flipping the fraction. So the reciprocal of 1/5 is 5/1. Then from there, we just multiply straight across. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 1 is 4. Now, before I do anything, I want to see if I can simplify or reduce 15/4. So I'm looking at 15/4, and I know based off of my math facts that they do not have a number in common for me to divide them by. So they're already simplified, but we can't leave our answer as an improper fraction. So we have to make this into a mixed number. To do that, we need to divide. So over here, I'm going to do 15 divided by 4. Well, thinking about my math facts, I need to figure out how many times 4 can go into 15. 4 can go into 15 3 times. So I'm going to put my 3 at the top. 3 times 4 is 12. And then I subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. So now, using the quotient or the number at the top, my remainder, and my divisor, I need to use these three numbers to get my final answer of the mixed number. So to do that, our number on the top, or our quotient, is always going to be our whole number. So 3 is my whole number, and that's the one on the top, not the one on the bottom. Then I'm going to write my fraction line, or my fraction bar. My denominator, which is the number on the bottom, is going to be 4. So 4 is our denominator. Again, the number that's always your divisor is always going to be your denominator. And so that means your remainder is going to be your numerator. So our answer is 3 3/4 yards. I was gonna write that down, but I don't have enough room. And for time purposes and space purposes, on this part, you do not have to worry about writing your answer in a complete sentence. Only do that whenever if it's like instructed on a test or on an assignment, write a complete sentence. But because I know you probably don't have enough room, you don't have to worry about it on this assignment. So again, our answer is 3 3/4 yards. Or no, how many pieces of wood? Just kidding. He can make 3 3/4 pieces of wood. So that's why you gotta make sure you read the question or you're gonna get the wrong answer. But it's 3 3/4. All right, number 2 says, how many 1/4, highlight that because I think that's gonna be important for me, pound hamburgers can be made from 1/2 pound of hamburger meat. So we're obviously dividing, but we need to figure out, okay, which number is it that I'm dividing? Am I gonna divide 1/4 or am I gonna divide 1/2? So we actually really need to read this word problem and dissect it. So again, it says how many 1/4 pound hamburgers can be made from 1/2 pound of hamburger meat. So in this problem, the number we're dividing is gonna be 1/2. And that is because we have a 1/2 pound of hamburger meat. That's how much we have. We wanna know how many hamburgers can come from that. So that's why it's gonna be 1/2 divided by 1/4. So again, it's 1/2 divided by 1/4 because we have a 1/2 pound of hamburger meat and we wanna know how many hamburgers can come from that package. So now that I've set up my problem, I'm gonna divide. So remember, our first number always stays the same. So I'm gonna rewrite this just with 1/2. Change my division to multiplication. And then find the reciprocal of 1/4, which will be 4/1. And then I just multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. And before I do anything, remember, our goal is to always reduce or simplify our fraction as small as it possibly can get. So I'm looking at 4 and 2, and just by looking at it, I know that I can simplify this fraction because both of them are even, so I can divide both of those numbers by 2. So I'm gonna do 4 divided by 2 and 2 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our answer is 2/1 or just 2. So these two answers would be correct. So that means we can get 2 hamburgers from that package of meat. And again, these two mean the same thing. So if you do an assignment and it's like multiple choice and you get the answer, it's like 2/1, but 2/1 is not an option, but just 2 is, that's the same answer, okay? All right, so now we're gonna do number 3. So number 3 says, Jill has 5/6 of a yard of string. She is making bracelets that are 2/3 of a yard long. How many bracelets can Jill make? So again, we need to figure out which number are we dividing, because it's not always going to be the first number in the problem, which was proven in question number 2. So we actually have to read the problem and figure out what number we're dividing and what number we're dividing by. So it says that Jill has 5/6 of a yard of string. She is making bracelets that are 2/3 of a yard long. How many bracelets can Jill make? So in this question, 5/6 is the number we're dividing because that's how long the string already is. So we're gonna do 5/6 divided by 2/3 because that's how long she's going to make her bracelets. So just like in the last problems, my first number doesn't change. So this stays 5/6. I change my division to multiplication, and then I multiply by the reciprocal. So remember, the reciprocal is just us flipping the fraction. So this is 3/2. And then now I can just go ahead and multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. 6 times 2 is 12. Now, before I move on to do anything else, I want to simplify this fraction. So looking at 15 and 12, they're not both even, but they do have a number in common larger than 1, and that number is 3. So I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. 5/4 cannot be simplified anymore, so we're done simplifying. But we do not want to leave our number as an improper fraction. So, just like how we did on number 1, I'm going to go to the side, and I'm going to divide to create a mixed number. So 5 is going to go on the inside, and 4 is going to go on the outside. 4 can only go into 5 one time, so I put 1 at the top. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract, and 5 minus 4 is 1. So just like how we did on number 1, I'm going to use these 3 numbers to determine what my mixed number is going to be. So my quotient, or the number on the top, is going to be my whole number every single time. No matter what the number is, the top number is always going to be your whole number. Your denominator is always going to be your divisor, or the number on the side. And then your remainder is always going to be your numerator. I wrote the wrong thing up there.
8th grade teachers, if you will, go ahead and report to the to Ms. Bronca's room, please. 8th grade teachers, go ahead and report to Ms. Bronca's. Thank you.
So once we've created our mixed number, we are
Ms.
done.
Nolan and Ms. Phillips, you can join them, and Mr. Scott. Thanks.
Once we have written it down, we are done. So our answer is 1 1/4. So she can make 1 1/4 of a bracelet. So now we're going to do, there's 3 more problems. We're going to do this, and then whenever we're done with this lesson, you're going to do a independent practice that's just word problems, okay? So